They weren't just criminals, they were kings of the underworld, ruling not from thrones, but from gold-plated mansions and private islands bought with blood money. These are the richest mob bosses the world has ever known, men and women who didn't just break the law, they owned it. Their bank accounts swelled into the billions, while cities crumbled under the weight of their crimes. In this video, we pull back the curtain on a hidden world where drug empires, gambling rings, and smuggling operations built fortunes so vast they rivaled entire governments. What you're about to see isn't fiction, it's the shocking reality of wealth built on fear, power, and corruption. Anthony "Fat Tony" Salerno. In the smoky backrooms of 1970s New York, one man ruled with an iron fist and a fat cigar. Anthony "Fat Tony" Salerno, the formidable boss of the Genovese crime family. With a gravelly voice and a rough appearance that masked a razor-sharp mind, Fat Tony transformed illegal gambling into a multi-million-dollar machine that churned cash across Manhattan and the Bronx. Each month, his betting operations raked in millions from horse races, sports games, and desperate wagers, while his loan-sharking empire bled borrowers dry with sky-high interest rates. By the early 1980s, Salerno had amassed a staggering $600 million fortune, enough to rival legitimate tycoons. But Fat Tony didn't just live rich, he lived royal. His Miami Beach mansion, a palace of marble floors, crystal chandeliers, and priceless art, featured a private dock where a 90-foot yacht waited, always ready to whisk him away to the Bahamas at a moment's notice. Back in New York, Salerno's upstate compound was no less extravagant, heavily guarded, outfitted for luxury, and notorious for hosting decadent parties with mobsters, politicians, and celebrities who preferred not to ask questions. Guests dined on gourmet Italian cuisine prepared by personal chefs, sipped endless champagne, and were serenaded by famous singers under starlit skies. His car collection alone could make a billionaire envious: gleaming Cadillacs, a rare Ferrari, and a bulletproof Lincoln Continental equipped with hidden compartments for cash or firearms. His wardrobe was just as extravagant: hand-tailored Italian suits, solid gold watches, diamond rings, and cigars flown in from Cuba. But power always comes at a price. In 1986, law enforcement finally caught up with Fat Tony during the infamous commission trial that crippled New York's 5 crime families. He died behind bars in 1992, far from the lavish empire he had built, but in the criminal underworld, his name still commands fear and respect. Michel Zaza. From the crowded streets of Naples to the glitzy shores of the French Riviera, Michel Zaza's rise was anything but ordinary. Born into modest beginnings, he clawed his way to the top of the Italian Camorra during the 1970s and 1980s, building a smuggling empire that stretched across the Mediterranean. His specialty? Cigarettes, millions of them illegally transported from North Africa into European markets. But Zaza wasn't content with tobacco alone. As his influence grew, he expanded into heroin and cocaine trafficking, multiplying his wealth exponentially and amassing a staggering $700 million fortune. With that kind of money came a lifestyle soaked in extravagance. Zaza owned 3 mega-yachts, each over 100 feet long, with the largest named Lolcevita valued at over $15 million and fitted with gold-plated interiors. His main home in Naples, a 20,000-square-foot palace with rare marble floors, was just one piece of a vast real estate empire that included villas on the Amalfi Coast, a penthouse in Milan, and a chateau on the French Riviera worth $30 million. But Zaza's luxury didn't stop at yachts and mansions. He lived like European royalty. He held exclusive memberships to the most elite golf clubs in Italy and France, not for sport, but for power brokering meetings behind closed doors. In the criminal world, his spending became legend. A reported $500,000 lost in a single weekend at Monte Carlo casinos, and a wardrobe of custom-made suits each costing over $5,000 that he never wore more than once to a meeting. Security was another massive expense. Zaza employed a private army of bodyguards, many of them ex-special forces soldiers, paid far beyond what any legal job could offer. Of course, staying at the top required more than firepower. He spent millions each year bribing public officials, ensuring silence and protection. Griselda Blanco. In the ruthless world of international drug trafficking, few names inspired more fear or fascination than Griselda Blanco, the infamous cocaine godmother. Born in Colombia and hardened by the streets, Blanco carved out her empire in Miami during the 1970s and 1980s, ruling the city's cocaine trade with brutal precision. Her organization moved over 300 kilograms of cocaine every month, flooding South Florida with drugs and swelling her fortune to a jaw-dropping $2 billion. But Blanco didn't just build a criminal empire, she flaunted it. Her estates in Miami were monuments to excess, each more extravagant than the last. One featured marble floors, crystal chandeliers, and gold-plated bathroom fixtures, while another boasted a swimming pool shaped like Colombia, her homeland. Griselda Blanco's luxury lifestyle was as bold as her crimes. Her driveways sparkled with brightly painted Rolls-Royces, Bentleys, and custom Cadillacs, all armored with bulletproof glass and outfitted with hidden compartments for cash and weapons. For her, money was never an issue, it was a tool to assert dominance. She once spent over $1 million on a single birthday party for her son, flying in international performers for the celebration. She bought a private island in the Bahamas for spontaneous weekend escapes and kept a fleet of speedboats on standby for a quick getaway. Joaquin El Chapo Guzman. Standing only 5 feet 6 inches tall, Joaquin El Chapo Guzman may have been short in stature, but he cast a long, terrifying shadow over the global drug trade. As the ruthless leader of the Sinaloa cartel, El Chapo built a sprawling empire worth an estimated $1 billion, trafficking cocaine, heroin, marijuana, and methamphetamines from South America into the United States with military-like precision. At the height of his reign, his organization controlled nearly half of Mexico's drug routes, turning the country's highways, ports, and border towns into high-speed arteries of narcotics and cash. To stay one step ahead, El Chapo relied on a fleet of private jets, constantly hopping between lavish hideouts. El Chapo's taste for excess rivaled that of royalty. His garages brimmed with armored SUVs, custom-built sports cars, and vintage collectibles, many modified with secret compartments for smuggling weapons or money. One of his most prized possessions, a diamond-encrusted handgun that served as both protection and a glittering symbol of power. He famously escaped from 2 high-security prisons, once in a laundry cart, and later through a custom-built tunnel that reportedly cost millions. But his luck ran out in 2016. Captured, extradited to the US, and sentenced to life plus 30 years, El Chapo now sits behind bars, though rumors still swirl that billions of his fortune remain hidden, waiting to be unearthed. Susumu Ishii. In the murky underworld of Japan's organized crime scene, Susumu Ishii didn't just play by the old rules, he rewrote them. As the powerful head of the Inagawakai Yakuza group during the booming 1980s, Ishii turned a traditional crime syndicate into something resembling a corporate empire. While others stuck to gambling, extortion, and blackmail, Ishii saw gold in Japan's bubble economy, a period marked by skyrocketing real estate and stock prices. But Ishii's ambition didn't stop at Japan's shores. He purchased vacation estates in Hawaii and California, along with private islands in the Pacific used to host exclusive gatherings with powerful politicians and business elites. Susumu Ishii's lifestyle rivaled that of the richest CEOs in Japan. His garage housed a fleet of custom-made limousines, rare European sports cars, and even a private jet for overseas travel. His investment portfolio was a financial powerhouse, with holdings in entertainment companies and golf courses at a time when a single club membership in Japan could cost hundreds of thousands of dollars. He dressed the part too, hand-tailored suits from Tokyo and London, worn with the quiet confidence of a man who controlled both crime syndicates and boardrooms. What made Ishii truly extraordinary, however, was his ability to live in 2 worlds. He preserved the rigid, loyalty-driven structure of the Yakuza while simultaneously building alliances with the legitimate business elite. Alphonse Gabriel Al Capone. One of the darkest economic periods in American history, Alphonse Al Capone rose to become the face of crime, wealth, and notoriety in the Prohibition era. Known simply as Scarface, Capone built an underground empire that would be worth an estimated $1.3 billion today, fueled by illegal bootlegging, gambling, and extortion. While the government banned alcohol, Capone turned the law into opportunity. His vast smuggling network moved liquor from Canada into the heart of Chicago, feeding a booming black market. At his peak, Capone's organization controlled around 10,000 speakeasies, generating an estimated $100 million per year, roughly $1.4 billion in modern currency. And while most Americans struggled through the Great Depression, Capone lived like a king. Capone's lifestyle was a blend of mafia muscle and movie star luxury. His personal car, a 1928 Cadillac V8 town sedan painted to resemble a police vehicle, came armored with bulletproof glass and concealed weapon compartments, just one in a fleet of custom-built Cadillacs. During the Great Depression, he opened soup kitchens that fed thousands of hungry citizens daily, earning him an odd kind of admiration even as his empire spread fear. Al Capone didn't just dominate Chicago, he turned crime into a brand, wrapping ruthless violence in charm, wealth, and spectacle. Matteo Messina Denaro. Beneath the sunlit hills and peaceful vineyards of Sicily lurked a figure far more sinister than the landscape suggested. Matteo Messina Denaro, a man so feared and elusive he was dubbed Diabolic, after a shadowy Italian comic book anti-hero. Born in the small town of Castelvetrano, Denaro was raised in the heart of the Sicilian mafia, the son of a powerful don, and by his 20s had already earned a reputation as a ruthless enforcer. Italian authorities linked him to dozens of murders, including judges, rival mobsters, and innocent bystanders. In 1993, he orchestrated a series of bombings across Rome, Florence, and Milan that killed 10 people and damaged irreplaceable cultural landmarks, a brutal message in the mafia's war against the state. While on the run, Denaro didn't lie low. Instead, he built an empire worth €4 billion, blending traditional mafia rackets like drug trafficking and extortion with legitimate businesses, from wind farms and construction companies to supermarkets and luxury resorts across Sicily. Denaro's wealth funded a lifestyle that blurred the line between underworld boss and billionaire tycoon. His garages were filled with Porsches and Ferraris, each worth hundreds of thousands of euros, while his properties ranged from beachfront villas in Sicily to penthouses in Rome and a fortified compound near his hometown decorated with antique furniture, gold bathroom fixtures, and museum-worthy artwork. Darko Saric. In the depths of the European underworld, one name stood above the rest: Darko Saric, the Serbian drug lord whose criminal empire was as vast as it was luxurious. With a staggering fortune estimated at $27 billion, Saric became one of the wealthiest and most powerful crime bosses on the planet. His riches flowed from a cocaine pipeline stretching from South America into Europe, moving massive quantities of narcotics and generating unimaginable cash. But Saric didn't just make money, he showcased it. His properties were spread across multiple countries and resembled five-star resorts more than homes. His seaside mansion in Montenegro featured private beaches and helicopter pads, while his penthouse in Belgrade offered sweeping views from floor-to-ceiling windows. Every property was outfitted with swimming pools, home theaters, and priceless art collections. Saric lived not just in wealth, but in carefully curated extravagance. Inside his garages were rows of Lamborghinis, Ferraris, and custom-built Rolls-Royces, including a $500,000 bulletproof Bentley he used for high-security travel. For longer trips, Saric flew in a private jet or sailed aboard a 100-foot yacht anchored in the Mediterranean. But in 2014, the illusion shattered. A global manhunt led to his arrest, and much of his empire was seized. The man who once lived in palaces and traveled like a king was left behind bars, trading diamond watches for prison chains. Francesco Schiavone. Few crime lords in history have amassed the staggering power and wealth of Francesco Sandoccan Schiavone, the feared leader of Italy's infamous Casalesi clan. Operating from the Campania region in southern Italy, Schiavone transformed his mafia into a shadow empire worth an estimated $47 billion. On the surface, the clan appeared to be just another construction conglomerate, but behind closed doors, it controlled a vast network of illicit activities. They secured massive contracts to build highways, shopping centers, and apartment complexes, ensuring that every new building in their territory came with a silent cut for the mob. Even more disturbingly, the Casalesi clan turned waste management into a goldmine by illegally dumping toxic waste across southern Italy, pocketing billions while poisoning the land. No business escaped their reach. Shopkeepers, restaurant owners, and local companies all paid protection money, contributing millions each month to the clan's ever-growing fortune. Schiavone lived like a mafia monarch in estates that resembled royal palaces. His main compound was a fortress of extravagance, adorned with marble floors, gold-plated fixtures, and priceless artwork stolen from museums across Europe. The property boasted swimming pools, tennis courts, and even a private zoo filled with exotic animals from around the world. In his climate-controlled garages sat dozens of custom-built Ferraris, Lamborghinis, and bulletproof vintage classics, each modified with secret compartments for weapons or cash. But Schiavone's criminal genius extended beyond street rackets. He funneled dirty money into legitimate fronts, owning luxury hotels, upscale restaurants, and exclusive nightclubs where celebrities unknowingly partied under the mafia's umbrella. His fashion matched his fortune: custom-made Italian suits, diamond-covered Swiss watches, and shoes handcrafted by the finest artisans. Yet despite the wealth, power, and spectacle, his empire eventually collapsed. After years on Italy's most wanted list, Schiavone was captured in 1998. Once the architect of a billion-dollar empire, he now lives out his days behind bars, proof that even the richest crime boss can't outrun justice forever. The world of crime lords is filled with power, wealth, and unbelievable stories. If you found their rise and fall fascinating, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss the next shocking episode from the dark side of history.